Okay, we are recording now. Okay,
Okay.
so
Hi,
hello.
Crystal.
Hi. So I have Rose here, and Rose can give you a little introduction of who she is. We have White Feather, who's also joined us. We have a story to tell, and I'm just gonna let Rose start, and then White Feather can join in after. Okay.
Okay. Tansagina. Some of you know me as Rose. My traditional name is Wapasquamahigan. I come from the north, which is also known as Manitoba. My community is Ginneseo Sipi. So in English, a lot of individuals know it as Norway House. So I live out here in the east for the last 13 years now. So because we reside here, um, we go through the so-called Canadian customs and the so-called American customs every day, because we have a home on the so-called American side. We have a little cabin there, and I was on my way from Cornwall to the so-called American side, and when I got to the American customs, they had a new lady there who was, I believe she was Muslim, because she said she spoke Arabic. So the guy that was with her training her, he told her to tell me to open up my trunk, and without any reason. And I said, "Why are you getting me to open up my trunk?" I said, "Is there something going on that I don't know about?" And they just looked at each other and kind of smirked, and they said, "Well, we just want you to open your trunk. This is just what we do." And I said, "No, you don't do this all the time." I said, please give me your reason why you want my trunk open." I said, "This is my vessel I'm traveling in through my territory here." So I said, "I'm also an original woman, so you cannot address me any old way." I basically let them know. I said, "I'm not an immigrant. I'm not a traveler. I'm not a visitor. I'm an original woman from this land. And my family lineage, I could go back more than 8 generations of us being from here." So when I told them who I am, and I also said who I am in my language and my traditional name, my family name, my nation, my community, as soon as I started speaking to them in my language, they got all snaky and started interrupting me and laughing. And they said, "Well," and then that's when they put the bar down in front of my vehicle so I wouldn't continue through, which was holding me hostage at this point. So I said, "You guys can't hold me as hostage here." I said, "because this is also considered kidnapping." I said, "You don't have a valid reason or proof of authority for you to ask me to open up my trunk." And I said, "I'll give you my word that I don't have anything." And that's when I guess they must have pushed like they have an emergency button in their little booths where they let everyone through. So more of the agents came out and they surrounded my vehicle. And the one man, while I was talking to them, I was addressing them, they were talking over me and interrupting me and not even giving me a chance to say anything. They just wanted to fight, it appeared. So when I told them I don't want them touching me or coming into my vehicle, they weren't respecting that. And I had called my friends on a group chat so they could see what I was going through. And my one friend told me to read them this court case that had happened as proof of what I was saying. So as I was reading that, they weren't really listening. And that one man went around to my passenger door and tried to get in. Thank goodness my door was locked. Then he quickly came around to my driver's door here, and my window was open, like not even halfway. And he put his elbow in and he forced my window down a bit. and he grabbed me by my hair a little bit and my coat in the back, and he slammed my head against the window a bit, and he unlocked my door. And as he was grabbing me out, I had my phone in my hand with my friends watching what I was going through, them physically assaulting me and invading in my personal space. So I was yelling at them. I said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "I don't have anything." I said, "What's your reason?" And the guy that was grabbing at me, his name is Scott Hubert. He was yelling at me. He says, "Just comply, just comply." And he took my wrists and he twisted them and he put the handcuffs on me. And that's when he got grabbed my phone out of my hand. And as he put the handcuffs on me and grabbed my phone out of my hand, he slammed my body like with his full force against the booth where they stand in. So now my one wrist feels like it's kind of sprained and I have a little red mark on it. My mom thinks it's going to swell up tomorrow and the next day, like the bruising will show. And my face kind of feels sore a little bit. My head, I have a slight headache now. And when they handcuffed me, they brought me in. They said, "We just need you to comply, Rose. You didn't listen to us." And I said, "I don't have to listen to you." I said, "You're not respecting me for who I am." I said, "You've known me here for years." I said, "Why are you doing this all of a sudden?" So they took me in and they weren't going to take me in the back room. Unfortunately, the man that had assaulted me, he insisted that they put me in the back room to do a pat down search. So they did that. And I said, "You men are not allowed to touch me." And I said, "Neither are you women. You're not even allowed to be doing this to me." So they made me undress to my sweatpants and my tank top. And I said, I said, "What's your reasoning behind this?" I said, "Was this really necessary?" I said, "You are not respecting me as an original woman on my territory here." And then as I was telling them, I said, "Creator sees everything, no matter what you say, do, and think." I said, "You're all going to be held accountable for this." And as I was starting to say this, those three women in that room with me in the cell, their faces starting turning pale white. And then they let me out and they're like, "Okay, you can just go, you can just go." And then I went out to the room there, the big main area where they all sit. And I said, "Just so you all know," I said, "what you've done to me here is a crime." And I said, "You're going to be held accountable for it." I said, "Because you can't just do anything you want here to me and my family." And I said, "Creator knows what happened here today." I said, "So don't be surprised what happens after this." I told them, "You brought a curse upon all your households." And I said, "Those of you that stood around and watched this and didn't say nothing," I said, "you're just as guilty." And as I was saying all this, they were all looking at me and their faces were turning white and they all wanted me to leave. They're like, "Oh, you're free to go. Here's your card." I said, "Where's my phone and my other set of keys?" They're like, "Oh, it's in your vehicle." So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. When I was telling them who I am in my language, I had requested them for them to give me their supervisor, their superior, so I could talk to him or her. They sent out two guys, one of them claiming to be the supervisor. I know he wasn't, because usually the big supervisor has to be called out from some office to come on the floor where the other workers are. So they lied to me about that. And at those moments that I was trying to tell them who I am, I said, "What's your reasoning?" And I said, "Whose authority do you have to be doing this to me right now?" And I said, "If there's something going on here that I don't know about, maybe you should let me know." I said, "You shouldn't be treating me this way and assume things about me." So I told them, I said, "You guys are lying to me about who you say you are." So when I was leaving, like actually, when I went through all this, what I just described, um, they didn't charge me. They just wanted me out. And yeah, that's what happened. So I was all upset, you know. And I have to go through there again in a little bit. I got to take my relative back home, which is have to go through the same place. So when I was leaving there after this big incident happened, I told them all to give me their personal identification numbers. I said, I don't really need your last names. I said, that would be good too. I said, I need your personal identification numbers or whatever that's called. And they refused to give me that. They gave me some paper here that says CBP Chief Tracy Casey, and she claims to be the tribal liaison officer for the Homeland Security at the Massena Port of Entry. And I said, so if you're the tribal liaison officer, I said, what tribe are you from? And she says, none. I said, so how can you be a tribal liaison officer? I said, who's the tribe then? And then she says, oh, over here, Akwesasne. And I said, oh, really? So this is what they gave me when I requested for them to give me their personal identification numbers along with their last names, and this is all they gave me.
May I ask you a few questions?
And she scribbled it.
May I ask you a few questions, Matrilineal mother? One of them.
Yes.
So when they, by the port of entry being a detainment spot automatically by its present, notify you that you were under arrest?
No. They just grabbed at me. They just like
Did
they didn't read me no rights or nothing. They didn't say if I was under arrest or not, nothing like that. That man, when he grabbed me, he just said, comply, comply. We just want you to comply. And I said, comply to what? And to comply to who?
when you read them, when you said that you read them, some stuff, did they pay attention? Because you were saying that they were talking over you. Did anybody pay attention that you
They
could
were
see?
quiet and they were looking at each other, shaking their heads. So I knew they weren't really paying attention to what I was reading to them.
Okay. So since they said that they were the tribal liaison to Akwesasne, you also need to file, well, you don't need to. I'm not giving you advice. You're the mother woman. I can't give you no advice. But, just saying, that all needs to be covered with Akwesasne and two and stuff like that. Because if they didn't read you your rights, and it goes beyond that, we're just be complained. But I don't get why they did this. And so, like you said, if she's not a tribal liaison by tribe or blood or acceptance, but she said she was acceptance through Akwesasne, how come they didn't call Akwesasne?
Because they are all lying about everything and they don't want to admit who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they admit who I am, then that means, you know, they're recognizing us for who we are and our family lineage, our bloodlines, and our authority here on these
Well, on
territories.
their side, I get what you're saying. And so on their side, did they call the BIA?
No, it's like they blocked out everything all of a sudden. And I told them, I said, when they took my phone from me, I said, you better not bother my phone. I said, don't mess with my phone either. I said, that's mine. I said, it doesn't belong to you.
And they couldn't declare why they were wanting to search your car, or other
Yeah, they
than they
didn't
wanted
have
to
a
search.
reason.
And you had asked them to call the BIA, correct?
Yeah, I told them that, and that was just before that man grabbed me.
And nobody would give you their badge number or
No,
EIN
they
number
actually
or
covered their names on their uniforms. And that one man says, look, see, he goes like this, see, this means I'm the authority here. He goes, this is I'm a supervisor. And I said, really? I said, I don't believe you. I said, because the supervisors
you,
normally don't come out here to stand here unless they really, really have to.
But being one of the matrilineal clan mothers, you're the authority. Like you said, they can't touch you.
I told them they weren't allowed to enter my vessel here, which is my vehicle. I did
You're
warn
not
them
out
about.
fighting. You were not out fighting. You were out just living.
I was out doing my motherly duties for my family, like running errands for the day. I don't have, and then they kept asking me over too for some strange reason, do you have any weapons? Do you have any weapons? And it was like, and they were asking me this as I was undressing. Like they reached at my coat and they're like, oh, you got to take this off too. And I was like, for what? I said, I don't have anything on me.
Okay.
And that
Appreciate
man
you.
that man that grabbed at me, he's actually two-faced because all the years I've gone through, he's like, he would get all giggly and say, oh, hi, Rose, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And then for some strange reason, it was like his demons came out when I spoke my language and he just like assaulted me. You and the other sisters witnessed that.
Right.
And they at the same time too, like I tell them who I am every so often when I go through, because I want them to understand that they cannot call us an immigrant, a visitor or a traveler or a Canadian citizen or an American citizen. So once in a while I would speak my language to them
And
and they would
being
get
that
they'd
you're
get all weird on me and act a little bit crazy afterwards because for some reason they cannot stand hearing my language or Nehiao. And
Mhm.
this was here long before they came. And I told them too many times throughout the years, maybe you should start learning my language. I said I had to learn English and I had to learn French against my will. I said maybe you should start learning our languages from Turtle Island. And I said this to them in nice ways, different times.
Mhm.
You even gave them a booklet, didn't you? Did you not?
I gave the Canadian Customs a booklet, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and I instructed them to give that to their supervisors so they start to get educated about who we are. Because I know that even though they say they got tribal or whatever indigenous liaison officers, they don't really care to know about us. They just want to call us Aboriginal or indigenous, and they want to just label us that, and that's not who we are. They need to learn our proper names from each of our nations and understand that we all also have our own language associated with our nation.
White Feather, would you like to elaborate on this a little bit and tell us what your thoughts are?
Well, in the language of law, there is a lot of different things that have transpired that are deemed international and federal matters in this. So it's not an easy subject to talk about on this matter. Um, the violations that had happened, that, but the finer points of the law, um, that would be something that sister would have to take up and finalize some more stuff on her end before anything can be really said. But the violations to her her freedom as a matrilineal woman, and so there's a lot of sharing and teaching that has to be done. So it's a lot of history that's been shared, and her story hasn't been shared. And so it's coming around to her story is being shared and even heard welcomely. So like sister is sharing her story, but her truth, it needs to be shared. It can't be taken as but the truth, because it happened. They know what happened. They're the ones that caused it. There's enough going on in this world that nobody needs to be put with a fork. Say, pay attention. So yeah, there's many violations and such. And so stating that you know the laws and you've stated them for them and you do know the traditional laws, you know your language, everything that they have in their laws, we can speak in our language. So yes, you know the laws. And so it's like you said, others are going to have to learn our language as well. And like you
Mhm.
said, you learned English against your will.
Yep.
So it was the exact same thing for me as well. My parents, I was born with polio. So this is how I look at it through life. My parents had made me go to church and made me go to colleges and schools, even though I didn't want, because it was beneath me. I had the knowledge beforehand. So my parents told me, lower your little ego and go into the churches and go into the schools because you were born with polio. Creation gave you a gift of a large comprehension and a photographic memory. So lower your ego and go in there and learn what they're saying. Did we say you have to take it on as yours? No, ma'am. No, sir. So go in there and listen to what they have to say because our people need you. Nobody can carry on an educational conversation until one side is willing to lower their ego and listen to the other side first. So that's where we're at. We're forced to hear the other side. Now we've heard it, so now our side or her story needs to be shared and accepted. And I
I don't
surely
want to,
appreciate you, sister,
I
drama
don't
and
mean to
drama that
interrupt.
interrupt.
Um, we have 8.5 minutes, so, um,
Okay.
So once again, I just want to put my hands up, both of them, if I could. Yeah, I hear both of them to all you women and sisters out there, and appreciate you, sister, for sharing. I know it wasn't easy after going through all of this tonight, and look forward to sharing with you and communicating with you on traditional stuff for this morning.
Okay, Ego say, Inanaskomitin, I appreciate your friendship, brother. I'm grateful for you too, sister Crystal. If it wasn't for yous, that nobody would have known this happened to me. I'm also grateful that we were talking previous to this incident, and I was able to add you on to show what I was experiencing in that moment. Um, yeah, it's just this was really unexpected. Um, and the things that they were hoping to find or look for in on me and on my vehicle, they didn't find anything. And they went through my medicine bundle here. So
So you have a sacred medicine bundle with you, and they went through it.
yeah, and I've told them this before other times, and it's like they treat me like I'm making things up. Like they don't want to believe who I am, and then they treat me like I'm making up a big story about who I am and where I'm from. I don't have time to make up stories. I'm a mother. I have children that I have to take care of. So I need to be alive to take care of my children. You know, I felt like my life was in danger. I even told them I didn't feel safe, and they didn't care.
Respectfully so.
so I have the video on my phone. Maybe we could use the last couple of minutes here just to share, what happened. I'll just hold it up to my camera here.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second so I can pull it up.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go to the part where they were, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. Can we see? Oh, it's very dirty. We can't see it, can
Oh,
we?
you got to put it on the other side because there's a glare from the light. Oh yeah, I could see his face in my window there. That's when he was trying to get in my passenger door. That's the one who grabbed me out of my vehicle.
More the other way. More the other way. There you go, right there. Okay, that shows that it happened. Yep.
Yeah, that was just before he came over to the driver's side and forced his way in to my window. You know, even though I'm angry and upset that they did that to me, I can't hold on to that anger. I have to let that go. Because, you know, I'm going to be giving it to the creator, Manitou, to deal with them. And they still will be addressed. And they have to understand of who we are. They can't ignore us anymore. You know, we're the reason why they have homes and jobs and stuff. You know, they're prospering and we're not, and that's not fair anymore. And they can't act like I'm making things up about who I am. I told them who I am in my language and they laughed in my face.
So it goes to a black screen for a couple of minutes, and then and then you can see the officer walking with the phone, with your phone.
Yeah.
And Michelle and I were sitting there screaming at her, or at them, and then you'll see him messing with her phone. I'm not sure what he was doing, but we kept asking him to identify himself, and there was no sound, and then it just went black.
Yeah, because they were getting their hackers inside the building to try freeze my phone.
So proud of you for staying beautiful and all of this, sister. I know it's a lot, but I'm proud of you for staying beautiful through all of it.
I go say, I was thinking about my children. I just felt like they were going to hurt me to the point where I might not come out alive.
It's not easy staying. It's not easy being Pevelwana beautiful, but it's proud of you. I tell you.
So in a second, you'll see whoever is carrying your phone come back on, and her and I are still asking who is carrying her phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're down to just under 2 minutes. Do you guys have anything else to say?
Well, I'm just grateful you and Michelle and White Feather were there to see that,
Yes.
because this needs to be brought out and everybody needs to know.
And
They
everybody
can't,
needs to share.
yeah. I want everybody to know what I've experienced today, because I don't want it happening anymore to our families. You know, like I said, I have 4 women that went murdered and missing in my family. So this is not nothing here. This is definitely something that shouldn't have happened to me today.
Shouldn't happen to any woman, and you're right. It shouldn't have happened to you today.
Okay. Well, thank you for your courage to do this, and I will send this video to you so you can share it out.
Okay. Ego
Okay,
say, sister.
thank you.
I tell you, sister. I tell you,
Ego
sister.
say.